Welcome to Talking Buffalo, featuring conversations with guests from around the world of sports, media, pop culture, and all things Buffalo. With your host, Patrick Moran.
All right, what is going on, everybody? How you doing? Welcome to another episode of Talking Buffalo, your weekday daily driver for Buffalo sports talk and more. My name is Patrick Moran. Big thank you to everybody out there, as always, for watching and listening, for following and subscribing. I do appreciate y'all very, very much. We are recording this really late Thursday night into Friday morning, live on the video side for everyone else on the podcast side, dropping overnight into Friday morning. Let's start here. Holy shit. I did not see this coming. I am joined, as I will be all season long, post-game shows. Joe from Queens.
We'll see. We'll see if all season long, because you got on my nerves yesterday. 2 days ago, I was about to kick your ass on private message. So we'll see how long we'll last together. I digress, though. Keep going with your intro.
Fair enough. Well, the intro is pretty much over. You just sabotage that, so that's pretty much over anyway.
Good.
But yeah. So Joe will be on post game, and I'm almost at a loss for words. We're gonna make fun of ourselves, I think, because that's going to happen. A couple of predictions. You and I are not above calling ourselves out. So everyone out there, save your takes. I'm gonna beat you to it and call myself out.
I was hacked. So that's my excuse.
You were
someone hacked, just like Shannon Sharp allegedly was hacked for having sex or whatever on Instagram.
We're here with live reactions right after the game, less than a half hour after the game. The Buffalo Bills just went into Hard Rock Stadium and decimated the Miami Dolphins, a 31-10 final in a game that, quite frankly, wasn't even that close. That game easily could have been a 4, maybe even a 5-score victory, just complete and utter domination from the Buffalo Bills almost throughout this game. Before we get into it, real quick piece of business, so to speak, I got to give some props to Logan, 8-year-old kid. Logan's friendship bracelet event at Imperial Pizza went on earlier on Thursday. I stopped up there, got myself a little $8 bracelet. They raised almost over, I should say, $7,000 at Imperial Pizza for Oshai Children's Hospital, man. And really cool. A lot of fans came up. They were buying these bracelets, buying signed autograph merchandise. Keon Coleman. There was some stuff from Greg Rizzo. Josh Allen had a helmet there. It was a great turnout, great event, and a great way to raise some money. So big props to Logan, his family, who I met. They're awesome. And to raise that much money for Children's Hospital is, of course, a really good thing. All right, let's start here, Joe. We both picked the Miami Dolphins to win this game. What was the score? What did you? I know you tweeted it out. You didn't, because you were on the show early in the week. Do you remember what you predicted? Because I know damn well what I predicted.
I think I predicted like 20. I was like 29-24. I don't know why I picked 29, but that's what I picked. I thought it was going to be a close game. And yeah, Miami was going to win. I just thought they were due. I just,
So when we do these late games, we're going on pretty much right after. So I don't really have time to go dig up clips and stuff and really completely set up. But I'll say this twice this week on the show. I had Matt Moran on Wednesday's show, and then Thursday's morning show. My prediction was not only would the Bills lose this game, but I predicted that the NFL record 42 straight games of the Bills not losing by more than 6 points was going to come to an end. I had Miami winning this game 30-20. And I'll present this to you and everyone out there who's watching and listening. My logic was this. It made sense. Look, you're on a short week. You're going on the road. You have absolutely owned the Miami Dolphins. If you're the Miami Dolphins, if not now, win. Teron Johnson is out. He's not playing. Dwan Smoot still hurt. He's not playing. Josh Allen is playing with an injured hand. It's hot. It's humid in Miami. You're used to it. You're at home. You know that Buffalo has owned you. You need this game. I feel like Miami needed to have this game, kind of set the tone for their season. If they don't win this game, my mindset was they lose at home to the Buffalo Bills, a wounded Buffalo Bills, stumbling on into a short week. This might be a long season for the Miami Dolphins. And guess what, Joe? We're 2 weeks in. this might be a long season for the Miami Dolphins. Do you agree with that? I feel that way after just one game tonight to come out and get beat down like they did to the Buffalo Bills tonight. This might, and we're going to talk some Bills, but let's talk about Miami first, actually. This might be a long season. If you're a Miami Dolphins fan, Joe, are you feeling a little fraudulent right now? And more specifically, Mike McDaniel. Is Mike McDaniel a fraud? Because I'm starting to think he is. I really am.
I mean, it's 2 games, and I have stuck up for Miami a little bit more probably than a lot of other people on Bills X has over the last year and a half, 2 years. And this was definitely one of those games where you're like, what the hell were they thinking? And I definitely there's something going on with the offense. First, specifically, they ran the ball like 30 times tonight. Like, why? Like, what happened to Waddle and Hill, and these guys were supposed to go over the top and kill it. And it just felt like even at the end of the first half, they weren't doing anything. They were just kind of they kicked the field goal, but they had absolutely no urgency at all.
None.
They were kind of running. They were being really passive, and
it looked like they didn't.
They couldn't. What happened? Look, that offense was very good last year, up until the last month, which in my opinion was they got injured and everyone got started. Hill got banged up, Waddle got banged up, but prior to that offense they were scoring. I mean, they scored fucking 70 against Denver or whatever, and then they had this high power offense, and it was wow, I wanted that for the Bills. I'm give me Hill and Waddle or those types of wide receivers, and just it's only 2 games for them, but definitely if you're a Dolphins fan, they looked like shit against Jacksonville, and they lucked out in that game. And this one, I just felt all along this was the time for Miami. Okay, I know 4 of the last 5 games, including the playoffs, have been close. So I just hey, this is coming up soon. This is going to be the time probably.
You're due.
It wasn't even. They're due, and it's right now. It's approaching. I don't want to say Bills Patriots of the drought era where I would never pick the Bills against the Patriots, but it is getting close to that where I'm they just have their number, and when are you going to beat them? And they had the Bills had injuries. They have a completely different secondary than they had last year. Miami's hyped up. They got Jordan freaking Poyer there talking shit and all that sort of stuff, and then boom, they just. I think the biggest narrative coming out of this game is going to be was it really about the Bills being good, or was it about Miami being awful?
It's both. It's
both. But if you want me to pick more of, I would say 55 Miami being terrible. They just looked like absolute. It's the strangest. If you go through the box score, and I'm a big box score guy.
I know you are. This ain't the game to do it though.
But we're going to, because it shows how bullshit it was, because Miami ran 75 plays. 75. Josh Allen had 130 yards passing. I joked on Twitter this was the worst Josh Allen game against Miami ever. Congratulations. And they it was just that second quarter was brutal for Miami. It was brutal because it was close. Look, it was I said close. The first quarter was kind of close. It was 7-7, and then all of a sudden the second quarter hit, and just Miami just fucking they were dead as tuna, and that was it.
Well, in terms of plays, and this is why I said this is not the game to look at box scores. The Bills were more than willing, coaching wise, schematically, to give up some plays here and there, some underneath shit. They were not going to get beat deep, and they didn't even come close really to getting beat deep. Let me go back to something that you had talked about near the end of the first half. And this is what I'm talking about with the Miami Dolphins. Look, it's a week 2 loss, man. The Bills have had worse losses than this throughout their run of being a good team, and they bounced back. Okay. It's not that that Miami got handled like they did at home in week 2. It's the manner in which they did. And I go back to last year. I remember the season finale, and I was where's the leadership with Miami? I watched on HBO Hard Knocks. Miami is up at the half in the locker room, and it didn't feel like it. It felt like they were waiting for Buffalo to go on that run, and then they did. This time around, so it's 24. Was it 24? It was 24-7 Buffalo. Miami's got the ball before the half. And I don't know, the lack of urgency. You said it. It was ridiculous the way they went down the field. Now, originally, I know what they were doing. They were trying to score and not leave the Bills a lot of time. But then it got to a point where they were so conservative and running so much clock that it went from realistically going for 7 to just trying to kick a field goal. And I'm like, where's that urgency with this team? And then to the point, and I thought the broadcast, by the way, I don't know if you watch it on Channel 7 or Amazon Prime tonight, I thought the broadcast was pretty brutal.
Yeah, I think a few people said Al Michaels is out. He's retired.
No, Kurt Street has some awful takes. But one thing that he was right about, I was watching the game. I was talking to my wife during the game, like 5-6 minutes left. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are on the bench laughing around like it didn't matter. I'm like, that should be a sickening feeling to get beat like you did in your home stadium in prime time. You should feel sick to your stomach about it. You lost your quarterback for God knows how long, and these guys are joking around on the sidelines. Like, I thought Calais Campbell, I thought Jordan Poyer, more on him in a few minutes. I thought that veteran leadership in that locker room was going to make a difference. It didn't look like it did tonight. The players didn't look like they gave a shit any more than they did last year. And I think it goes back to the head coach. I think Sean McDermott tonight, Sean McDermott's got his flaws. Sean McDermott coached circles around Mike McDaniels tonight. I mean, that's a big, big difference in this game. I don't know why I keep bringing up Miami. This is a Bills podcast, but man, it was hard. If you're a Miami fan, at least, it was hard to watch, dude.
I mean, I think a lot of their spirit, whatever you want to say it, was out after that first quarter. Like, they had two brutal, picks in that first quarter. And then afterwards, like, they had energy in that first quarter. They did, Miami. And then once the 2 turnovers happened in a row, I felt like they knew, like, oh shit, not this again.
Here we go again.
It's a little bit in their head right now. And, it was, as I said, there was some good, if you want to, like, that's Miami's problem. Like, I don't want to kick dirt on them yet. It's 2 games. Okay. It's 2 games, but they got some work to do the next 10 days, give or take. But they have talent. They have a talent. You can't deny the talent there. But obviously, we'll see what happens.
I don't think they're that good. I think they got about 4 star players. They got 2 great receivers.
Sure. I mean,
a guy or 2 on defense. I don't think they're not deep.
Well, look, they're going to be in trouble, like, with Tua, like, how long Tua's. I mean, Skylar Thompson, give me a fucking break. Like, they should have brought in a better backup, probably.
Mike White, he's playing for. They cut. They cut Mike White, and then
good job, Jabrones.
Thompson.
But they were like, look, for the Bills, I thought there was some good. I think coming out of this game, like we talked about Miami, I thought the defense played outstanding. Like, everyone, I mean. You start the game off, you lose Terrell Bernard in the first, like, drive or whatever it was. And we're just sitting there going, holy shit, we have to see Braylon Spector, who actually, outside of the first play, like, when he gave up that touchdown,
he played good.
He was fine.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. No, you're right. He was fine, and you're right. I want to talk about the defense specifically, but before that, though, one more thing with the coaching thing.
Sure.
Is with Mike McDaniel, we talked about how lethargic they look, just the body language, the play calling, especially near the end of the first half, some urgency. Let's score. Let's get in the end zone here. Conversely, I got to give Sean McDermott a lot of credit, because going back to what I said at the very beginning, calling myself out for being dead ass wrong, saying that the Bills are going to lose by double digits. Tell you another thing I was wrong about, the very first drive of the game for the Bills. So Ingram gets an interception. Bills get a turnover because they deferred on the kick. Buffalo drives down. They get stalled out. It's 4th and 3 from the 17. And I'm literally at this point yelling at my TV. I was wrong. I said, take the points, kick the field goal. You get a turnover. You're in Hard Rock Stadium. You want to let them know that they're going to pay for their sins, for their mistakes. Take the points. And then they call timeout. I'm like, all right, we're going to take the points because I thought they were trying to draw him off sides. He calls timeout.
Kodak shit, yeah.
Yeah. But then they go for it. And to Joe Brady's credit, he came up with a play, he put Sam in motion, he goes out to the right, and he gets cooked one-on-one with a linebacker. Game over. Easy conversion and a touchdown. I want to give Sean McDermott a lot of credit because, again, we get on him for a lot of shit, and plenty of it's deserved. But I thought Sean McDermott, not just the play being successful, but going for it, because Brady got up the play. But Sean McDermott saying we're going to go for it instead of taking 3 points to get on the board first. This ain't mom and dad Sean McDermott no more. I feel like, man, this is a different Sean McDermott. That was an aggressive move, and I think it feeds confidence into his team. Whereas again, with Mike McDaniel, it's the opposite. Mike McDaniel's a fucking fraud. Let's just put it out there, dude.
I'm not going. He's a fraud yet. Like, relax. He's not.
Well, he's played against the Carolina Panthers.
Look, is he a little bit overhyped? Sure, but
he's more than a little overhyped. But good, keep him. He got his extension, right? Good.
Okay, I'm sick of talking about Miami. Can we talk about the Bills? Okay, I don't give a shit about
all right,
them.
So
They're
anyway,
okay.
that set the tone though. Sean McDermott set the tone right away.
Yes, give Sean McDermott his credit. He was masterful defensively. That play, as you said, that definitely set the tone. It was a great design play. I haven't seen a design play to the running back in the passing game in God knows how long. I've been complaining. I've been beating the drum for a freaking 7 years about how, hey, let's get these running backs involved, not just in checkdowns, but like specific patterns and stuff. That was a beautifully designed play to Cook. And Cook, I'm wrong about a lot of things. I said like that guy in the beginning of the season, he was going to be a really good player for them, and he's become an all-purpose guy for them. He looks
different.
Yeah.
He's patient. There was one play specifically. He only went for 3 yards, but he picked up a first down. He took the ball, and it looked like there might be something outside, but there wasn't. Instead, he went inside. He got 2.5 yards and made sure he got the first down. Last year, he takes that outside. He tries to bounce it. He probably loses 3-4 yards. Yeah, you're right. Different James Cook. And by the way, he hasn't dropped a pass yet either.
He hasn't dropped one, but he looks good. We talked about it before. He's their intercontinental champion in terms of the offense. Like Josh Allen's the world champion, and to me, Cook is their intercontinental champion because he's right now to me their second best offensive player right now because he looks that good. And I'll give Josh credit. Look, he didn't have like the monster numbers like he normally had, as I joked with, but the one throw he made to Ty Johnson, I saw that replay, and things broke down. He rolled to his right, and like he had a good 5-6 yards. He could have picked up a first down. He would have ran, and I think a couple of years ago he would have done that, but he stayed. He looked upfield, delivered it.
Doing that tonight,
yeah, with a hand, yeah, but he still delivered it in terms of he threw a nice pass to Ty. That was gorgeous. He's been really. Even last week, the one play I saw last week where they put it all over YouTube or Twitter, was. Him rolling to his right, and then I think he chucked it kind of across his body to Shakir when he was rolling out. He's been a lot better with rolling out in terms of making plays down the field. But
by the way, who Ty Johnson beat on that play too?
Your boy,
$24 million cornerback Jalen Ramsey.
Oh, Ramsey okay,
on that play.
Yeah,
I didn't need Josh tonight, man. Just straight up, this defense. Josh was game manager. Josh tonight, good. Because he had a hurt hand, you noticed he was not going to run a quarterback.
He had a Nintendo Power Glove on.
He didn't no design runs for him the whole game. Yeah. He took off running once and got down. That's all you wanted to see from Josh. I want to talk about this defense though. Holy shit! And I'm not calling myself out because I was right about it. Everyone's like, "Oh, Oliver." I was not wrong last week. He did nothing against Arizona. He sucked.
You bullied
against Arizona.
He heard you made fun of him.
He heard my rant. He played good tonight because he heard my rants.
Yes.
But in all seriousness, I said, in fact, I put out a clip today. A key to the game for the Bills was someone other than Groot or in addition to Groot is going to have to step up. And it's got to be Ed Oliver. Ed Oliver was a monster tonight. He had a sack. He had a tackle for a loss. Guys were holding on to him. He was getting double teamed. Ed Oliver was a beast. And that's the kind of player he's got to be more consistently. He's too flashy. He has these games. Now, fortunately, it was against Miami and not a meaningless game against the Panthers, or some shithole team like that. So he stepped up in a big game, divisional rival. That's the Ed Oliver you need to see because teams are going to pay more attention to Greg Rousseau, who still had a pretty good game himself. So him gets props. And then the other guy, bro, it's 2022 Von Miller. He's back.
He looked,
spin moves, fucking bull rush moves, outside using his hands. He looks like he's 2022. He looks like the guy the Bills signed, not prime Von Miller, but 2022 Von Miller.
He looked really good. He had a couple pressures where his first step was he flew off the line of scrimmage. He looked. He's another guy that I may be wrong about. I didn't think of much about. He's too old. He's over the hill. He's got 2 freaking bad injuries, but he looked good tonight. I give him credit, how well he looked tonight. But the pass rush was there. It was good. The defense, I think someone had it like, the wide receivers, like Tyreek Hill, like the longest catch I think he's had against the Bills with the Dolphins has been 23 yards. I think Chris Brown had that stat. Like they've really blanketed their like Tyreek Hill, like
coaching.
Yeah, and look, give credit to I didn't think much of this like Sean McDermott is like a master whisperer when it comes to defensive backs. Like this is not a talented defensive back group back there. We got UB guys. We got
Jamie. I agree with you with the safeties. I'm going to disagree with you on the corner.
No, excuse me. Let me get my heat in, buddy. Okay, I'm talking about like where they're drafted. Like they're not like first, second rounders. These are guys that you find. Like Benford's great. I agree. He's a 6th rounder. 6th rounders aren't supposed to be that good. That's all I'm telling you right now. Like they're finding these guys anywhere. Like Ingram, you love every local product more than anyone I know, and I hate every local product. I'm usually like, "Oh, cares? Another hometown guy, whatever." And like Ingram looks great, like as their like third cornerback. Like,
he's a dime safety. He had a pick six. He had 2 picks. I said during the game, I tweeted, I was just being an asshole to talk because I hate Dante Whitner. I said Ja'Marcus Ingram did more tonight than Dante Whitner ever did in his entire career. I got to put up a comment. I'm not really, I'm flashing them as we're going through because this is more about the audio for Friday's podcast. But this one comment, I know this guy too, Aaron Wallace. He says, what honestly did Vaughn do? If you're saying that and you're being serious, I don't know what to say. I don't even have a response to you. What do you mean? What did he do? He had a sack. He had like 3 or 4 pressures. He
had some good pressures.
That's literally what he's paid to do. I don't, if you don't think Von Miller had a good game, I don't know what to say to you. That's your opinion, I guess. I don't really know how to respond. Anyway, whatever. Back to Christian Benford. You're right. In my bad. Damar Hamlin's a 6th round pick too. And
they just have, it's not high, like first, second rounders. It's just like guys who are like, I doubted Hamlin. I doubted all these guys. I'm like, oh man, like they went against the number one, in my opinion, the number one wide receiving core in the league in Hill and Waddle. Those guys didn't do dick. Yeah. And like you got to give those credit to those cornerbacks like back there and that secondary. And again, it's a ragtag group, like, and like that's on me. Like I never really respected someone. I'm like, 6th rounder, whatever. Like this dude's just a dude. Cam Lewis got posterized by Jefferson 2 years ago. Oh, this freaking guy. And,
he's played good too.
He's making plays. He looks like freaking Leonard Smith back there. Like, in terms of being like a physical presence at the line of scrimmage. Like McDermott deserves credit. Like he has done wonders with that secondary ever since he got here. I'll give, and look, I don't blow that dude that much at all, and you know that, but like I'll kiss his ass on that. Like with the secondary, he's built a secondary back.
I want to talk specifically about Christian Benford. I think this was the best game of his career, quite possibly. He had interception tonight. He was sticky in coverage like he always is. He's physical. He hit, and I noticed this. He hit Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill caught, I don't know if it was a pass or an end around or jet sweep. I think it was a short pass, and he tried to get out of bounds, and he was out, and Benford gave him a nice lick right at the sideline out of bounds. Tyreek Hill was slowed down for the rest of the game after that. You could tell he was not the same player after that hit from Benford. In fact, he went to the locker room by himself right before halftime. I don't think he ever fully recovered from that hit. Christian Benford has turned into, PFF grade-wise and shit like that, which we don't really get in the analytical stuff like that. We don't know much about that, but he's graded really well, but he hasn't really made plays. He made plays in this game. He was really, really, really good. And Rasul Douglas is a really good corner. These corners are really good. The safeties haven't mattered. That's because I'm not high on Taylor Rapp and I'm not high on Damar Hamlin. I said garbage time. Mike Edwards and Cole Bishop were playing at the end of the game. Like, those are your 2 best safeties. Those are probably your 2 starting safeties a little bit down the road, but it doesn't matter. Just like with the receivers on offense, it just ain't mattering right now. If your front 4 plays like they did tonight and you got 2 lockdown corners, shit ain't even, I shouldn't say it doesn't matter at all, but it didn't matter tonight. Or to say, and they were fine, by the way. Rapp and Hamlin were fine. They were all right.
I think the safeties will really get tested when they go against a stud tight end. That's when things will get tested to see how they can be on their own, because that's usually like it's their responsibility for life.
Sure, but they have 2 good tight ends.
Who's Miami's tight end?
McBride's a good tight end. John O. Smith's a good tight end, and hasn't. Quarterbacks ain't finding them.
I mean,
one other thing too, you were talking about, these late round gems or whatever. Another guy who deserves some props tonight is Braylon Spector. So he comes into the game. Terrell Bernard gets hurt, and I, and every Bills fan watching this is like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Here we go again. We're 5 quarters into the season, and Milano's already done till at least December. Teron Johnson's probably out for at least a couple more. He didn't go on IR, though. That's a good deal before the game. And now Bernard's out. It's a pec injury. I think back to Daquan Jones, who had a pec injury last year, and he missed a chunk of the season. You're probably looking at around a December-ish timeline, possibly, at least potentially, with him. I'm like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me right now? And Spector played really good tonight, man. He's got more juice to him than I thought. Like he's a better. You think of slow, big, stocky white linebackers, and you think of an AJ Klein type, or smart, tough nose, blah 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 blah. Braylon Spector's an athletic dude, man. He gets out there in space and covers pretty well. Joe Andreessen, Bills fans, he might be active now. Bernard out, but he's starting. Braylon Spector's looking good, and Dorian Williams even better.
He looked fine. He looked well. But let's be honest here. The defensive line was great tonight. You got a good defensive line that's going up the field and getting open up holes for the linebackers to make plays. That makes a big difference. That's where that was next to the corners today, the defensive line really did a number. And if you can do that,
absolutely,
then you can have linebackers making plays. It's football 101 when you have that. So I think that's why Spector had his thing, because Alava was a monster. The other defensitive ends
Jordan Williams played well too tonight, man.
He made some good plays.
He was coming in and filling up run gaps really quick.
Yeah.
I can't. There is not. If you're coming up with anything bad to say about the defense, I mean,
there's nothing. The defense. This might have been and look, I have to see how the year plays out. I still like Miami in terms of I still think of them as a really good offensive team. They should be. They were near the top in scoring last year, passing yards, all that shit. And maybe this year it's going to suck for them. I don't know yet, but this is a big moment for Sean McDermott in terms of he shut that offense down. They looked like shit. The Dolphins offense. It looked pedestrian. They were scared. I still can't believe how much they ran the football and they just threw everything underneath. There was nothing really over the top except 2 plays. I think Waddle caught a long pass and they tried to attempt to go deep to Hill, and that was almost intercepted. They just did not know what the F was going on.
I think the Bills outcoached them, and they just were not going to give up. They weren't going to give it up. By the way, that defense in the first half, and again, you get a turnover and the Bills score, and it's easy, if the defense is down, Bernard gets hurt. They scored a touchdown on the drive where Bernard got hurt too. But that defense in the first half, first drive, interception by Ingram. The second drive is when they got the touchdown. But after that, Benford got an interception. Then they forced a punt. Then they had a turnover on downs because Ed Oliver had a 4th down sack. And then at the end of the half, again, they just didn't give up a touchdown, only a field goal. And Miami never got into the game. I'm just blown away by how good this defense played on the road in Miami, down 2 all-pro guys. And their captain, their middle linebacker, less than a quarter into the game. It just, the defensive line, man, if they could play like that. And there's some guys commenting in our chat about getting to get into the offense, which we'll talk about the offense in a few minutes. But yeah, I mean, Matt Viz says it's not just the safeties and corners. McDermott has always been a linebacker whisperer too, not just in Buffalo, but Carolina and Philly too. Look, this so far 2 games in, but Sean McDermott has just been, he's done great. I couldn't be more impressed with him, and I can't emphasize enough how impressed I was and surprised I was that he went for it on 4th and 3. 4th and 1, you got the Josh Allen tush push. I get that. This was 4th and 3 from the 17, following a turnover on the road, first drive of the game. You're like, let's get some points in the bank. And he went for it, man. And I know some people were saying, well, they had the perfect play dialed up. I don't give a shit. There's no guarantee that you're going to execute the perfect play. Really ballsy on Sean. If we're giving a game ball right now, he might be at the top of my list.
Yeah.
Who's your game ball? We're going to talk offense too, but who's your game ball? I'm going to give my game ball to Sean McDermott. His team was ready.
Yeah, I guess so. I'll give it to him too. The team, I think he deserves a lot of credit for that defensive performance tonight and being aggressive, as you had indicated. I think, he wanted to be aggressive. Like, they got the turnover, and I think, like I said, like, it looked like for about a minute in that first quarter, I was like, when it got 7-7, I was like, this is gonna be a shootout. Like, I just thought, like, it's gonna be a shootout, and then just Miami just fell apart, and like that second quarter was horrible for them. And
you want me to embarrass myself one more time while you're talking? Go ahead. I'm gonna pull up my status because when you said you thought it was gonna be a shootout, you just triggered my
I just thought it was gonna be a shootout, and I think maybe he sensed that, and that's probably why he was a little bit more aggressive. Like, let's get some points here. But it was just like I said, that whole that second quarter, Miami just collapsed, and then the pick six, like, I don't know what the hell Tua was thinking on that. Like, he just lofted it in the air, and it was in the air. He had some brutal. That's why, like
his lack of arm strength was on display tonight, man. Yeah, it really was.
And it sucks. Obviously, he got hurt, and like that poor dude is. Man, he's just snake bitten, that dude.
Let me read to you, okay? And again, I don't have to do this. Nobody would know this except my friends on Facebook.
Yes.
I don't care. So go easy on me, folks, listening and watching this show. I said this after. So Buffalo scored. Miami came right back down and scored. And Bernard got hurt near the goal line, and Miami scored a touchdown. And bam, I believe it was 7-7, right? Yeah, the Bills were never up by 2 scores that early. Anyway, here was my status on Facebook. We're in the 5th quarter of the season, and the Bills' base nickel linebackers are Braylon Spector, Dorian Williams, and Cam Lewis. That's not to mention a pair of safeties who are the epitome of average at best. I said MVP Josh Allen will be very much required all season. And then I said, this defense sucks.
Oh, my goodness. I'm so glad I unfollowed you on Facebook so I don't have to see this shit anymore. I got
that is a horrible take by yours truly. Wow. I mean, I'm a knee-jerk. I'm an emotional, in the moment overreactor, but that was bad.
That's why Pat wants to wait 6 hours normally after a game to do a post game so he can calm down and steal everyone else's material and all that shit. But like other than that, yes, that's.
I want to take literally a 3-second break on the video side, and then we're going to come back. I want to talk a little bit of offense because it wasn't special, but it didn't need to be. But there is one good thing about this offense that we're not talking about that we're about to. All right, I am back here with Joe from Queens. We are reacting, instant reactions in the moments following a Buffalo Bills dominating road victory against the Miami Dolphins, 31-10. God damn. Robert Mays from The Athletic had a quote, and I want to read it. I wrote it down. I want to make sure I read it. This is in regards to the Bills' offensive line right now and this offense in general. And I know this is not something that somebody who is past fancy like yourself is very fond of. However, I'm going to say it anyway. And so far, so good. This is what Robert Mays says. He says, the Bills completing their transformation from spread finesse offense that can't run the ball to a team that can cave your chest in has been fulfilling. That is what the Bills are kind of doing right now. And by the way, for a second straight game, this offensive line was superb. For a second straight. We talk about Cook. Josh Allen wasn't under a lot of duress. This offensive line against, a Miami defense that has some talent up there. Jalen Phillips, Seiler, Campbell, they did nothing. The Bills' offensive line was dominant, and I think he's right, man. This is like it or not, this is a different Bills offense now than what we're used to seeing over the last 4 or 5 years. And getting some of these big guys, including the receivers, is I'm not saying I love it either at this point. We'll see when the schedule as it goes on. But right now, at least anyway, it's all making sense. This offense is making a lot of sense right now.
I don't know how much I could take away. Like, the offense was fine tonight, but they just weren't. They didn't need to do anything. Like, that's hard for me to like. They had a couple big plays. Like Josh Allen made like two, 3 nice throws, and then Cook had like that long ass, run and a couple things. There wasn't anything else to it. There's not like I can't come on here and be like, I'm sorry, I can't come on here and be like, man, I loved what I saw. Like they didn't really.
They didn't try.
It was a little bit like I don't want to say
quarter and a half. The last quarter and a half of the game, they were just pounding the ball and running the clock and protecting the lead and not turning the ball over. They weren't even trying to like run a full offense.
They just were like, they didn't. Once that pick six happened, the game was over, and I think the Bills kind of knew that. They were just kind of, okay, whatever. Like there wasn't like that much stuff to really like dissect. They didn't have that many plays because Miami, like again, Miami had 75 plays. It was the most dominant play. Like I can't believe they had 75 plays and they scored 10 points, and they averaged like 4 yards a play. Miami on 75 freaking plays, which is amazing to me. And like the offense was fine. Like I said, it wasn't. I'm not going to sit here and go they found their identity or this, that, or the other thing. Like I think there are going to be games where Josh Allen's going to throw more than 19 times. I think there's going to be games where Cook is going to run more than 11 times, and that's what they did tonight. It was like I said, it had its good moments. I liked how, they the first drive they tried to get Dalton Kincaid involved more. Like they were doing like kind of wide like tight end screens.
They
kind of like
4 passes.
Oh yeah, they kind of forced it a little bit there. They were okay. I mean, look, I'm not gonna like drool and all over the offense or shit on them. I thought they were fine, I guess. It was the weirdest game. It was really when you watch that game, like Miami had the ball forever, and like they didn't do anything. They would move, it was just they ran the ball. It was I don't know. It was just a weird.
They were protecting the defense. That's all they had to do. It's weird because Josh owns the Dolphins, and you feel Josh usually runs up the score. He does big things against the Dolphins. But again, he was literally Trent Edwards tonight because that's all they wanted him to be. That's it. That's all they wanted. Yeah. Which, by the way, Joe, I'm sorry, but we talked about the defense a lot, and we talked about a lot of players. And we've talked about the pick six that Tua threw to Ingram, and got to give I haven't mentioned him. AJ Epinesa had the pass rush on that. He was right in his face. He made him throw that ball. He didn't get everything on it, and it was an easy pick six for Ingram. So props to AJ Epinesa. And yes, and look, you are a box scout or a box score scout. I know that.
Yeah.
You admit it openly.
Yes.
This is, again, if you're a Bills offensive guy and you want to see big numbers, this was not the game. In fact, this hasn't been the season so far. Here's your stat of the year. The Bills have played 2 games now. There's not a receiver or pass catcher on this team that's had 55 yards receiving. Forget 100 or 70, even 60. No one on this team has had 55 yards receiving in 2 weeks.
Eating an appetizer.
It hasn't come close, and it has not come close to mattering. It hasn't even come close to mattering.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, it's still early. I think it's going to have to start to matter soon a little bit. Sure. Like they're going to have to like at some point. But yes, now's not the time to kind of be I don't know, overly negative or overly positive. It is. The offense was fine tonight. I wish I'm going to watch the replay at some point when my kid's asleep and just kind of look over it like more closely because like the defense to me that's what took the air out of everything, in terms of like what I brought away with it. But yeah, it was they did like the first drive. It seemed like they were trying to get Kincaid involved. Then Shakir looked good. I mean, he makes some nice dirty plays. Yeah, dirty plays. Everything. Not flashy or anything like that. He makes dirty plays. He can break tackles. Is there anything, let's ask this, like overall, was there anything, we did the good, the bad, and the ugly last week, which we're not doing this week, obviously. Was there anything you did not like about this
the Bills?
About the Bills.
From a Bills perspective?
No, from your mother's perspective. Yeah, your perspective, dude. Like Bill's perspective. Yeah.
I don't like my predictions.
Okay, yeah, but like, what did you watch that you weren't like? What about Tyler Bass? Did that kind of worry you a little bit? Like he missed
he missed if you're asking me things I did not like about this game for the Bills, I would start with that field goal because now the clock is back to ticking on me, and I'm worried about him all over again because he didn't just miss it. I mean, he missed it.
Yeah, he
shanked it.
Ugly. He shanked it.
Terrible kick. This is not a criticism. This is just something I personally didn't like, but I also understand. I thought Joe Brady at times got a little too conservative, but that's a really hypocritical statement because it was clear as day that their defense was not going to let them lose this game. And the only way Miami was going to get back in the game is if, say, Hero Josh comes out and he has a couple ugly turnovers and Miami converts them into quick points. Or special teams. That's why Tyler Bass kicked the ball in the end zone every single time tonight. So I also understand. But it's a little frustrating when you're seeing corners and safeties come off the edge, run blitzing. You know it's coming, but you still run into it anyway. So I didn't love that. That might be it, man. I honestly, look, when you go on the road and you win by 3 touchdowns on prime time on short rest against your divisional rival that needs this game and it should be hungry, I'm really having a hard time finding.
Yeah, it's not much. I mean, the only thing I can say is I thought he played the offensive starters too long. Like, why were they in on the last drive? And like, Josh Allen's running for his life on like 3rd and whatever, and hey, cool. You got a meme that you hurdled over a bench, which I'm sure the Bills Twitter will use this week. But like, cool, it was cool. Yeah, I get that. But just
he's got some mops, man.
He does. Like, he can dunk. I'm pretty sure he can dunk. But yeah, I would have just maybe pulled the guys out a little bit earlier at that point. But yeah, there wasn't much to really complain about because the game was just. Like I said, it was a very odd game.
Miami soft. They're a soft football team. I thought that last year, and I don't see anything different about this team right now. They should be 0-2, by the way. They got lucky to beat Jacksonville. Javon Holland. Did Javon Holland play tonight, by the way? An all-pro safety, number 8. He did nothing for Miami this game. I don't even know. I mean, he did play, but it didn't feel like he played. But anyway, last week he made a hit on the goal line. Jacksonville's about to go up 24-7, and that would have been a wrap. Just brutal. Can we talk about our old friend Jordan Poyer here? You want to talk about another take I was wrong about?
That's your boy.
I had bold predictions. So I had bold predictions on the show earlier today.
Yeah.
And besides being wrong on the score, I also said Jordan Poyer is going to make an impactful play for Miami. Technically, he did because he had a personal foul, hit to the head on Khalil Shakir to add 15 yards. And man, I like Jordan Poyer, okay, but he first took a bad angle, and then James Cook made Jordan Poyer look like he had freaking rocks in his sneakers or his cleats because Jordan Poyer looks slow as hell. So if you're out there saying Taylor Rapp sucks, and I've said that a couple times, Jordan Poyer at this point of his career with much loved and respected what he did in Buffalo, Jordan Poyer's, if he's not all the way 98% cooked, because he looked bad on a couple plays, and he was a complete non-factor for Miami tonight. And this was a game he was looking forward to and talking about.
Yeah, he didn't look good tonight, and like I think after the game he just like ran off the field, and like I mean maybe he thanked his opponents afterwards in the locker room. Who knows?
I think he feels right now. How do you think he feels right now? Like in that locker room?
He gives a shit. He gives a shit. I mean Poyer to me has always had a giant chip on his shoulder since day one. He's the guy who, he's an emotional dude. And, I think he was probably plenty pissed that they looked like as ass as Miami did. And yeah, that play, like he just took a terrible angle on Cook and the personal, like, hey, it was helmet to helmet. You can't complain about that. So yeah, I'm sure he wishes he was younger, and still in his prime, but whatever. Hey,
he's a competitor. It's probably eating at him. It's eating at him. Yeah, I don't have any ill will towards him. He didn't spurn the Bills. He's not Gabe Davis. He didn't go get a money grab. The Bills cut him. He's with Miami because the Bills cut him. He re-signed with Miami and the Bills cut him. Dudes, you know what I said stat of the year so far was no Bills receiver having 55 yards and it doesn't matter. I take that back because I'm looking at the box score right now, and I'm going to be a box score scout for 1 second here. Tyreek Hill, 3 catches for 24 yards. And then he also had 1 run for 12 yards. That is arguably the most dangerous player in the NFL.
Voted number 1 best player by the NFL players.
Yeah, number 1 player in the NFL 100.
Yeah.
And the Bills just seem to have his number. It's pretty wild. Our old friend Colleen, by the way, is in the chat. Over almost 800 people in the chat, by the way, right now.
Oh, Colleen, hi.
Pat says, I'm happy your prediction was wrong. Well, I am very happy as well, too. I wanted the Bills to win. I just did not think they were going to do it. Yeah. One last thing. We're going to get out of here in a few. Tua got hurt. That sucks. He ran on 4th down trying to make a play, got the first down. His head hit Damar Hamlin, and it looked bad. And I don't know how many concussions he's had now. 2 against the Bills alone. This looked bad. They sounded very concerned on the broadcast. And, well, 2 things. First, let me criticize Miami a little bit more besides the football team. What in the fuck are they doing letting this guy? He's wobbling to the sideline. He could barely walk. You could tell. I think at one point, Kurt Verstreet thought he might have hurt his leg because he was so wobbly. They skipped the medical tent, the blue tent, as they should, and they go right into the locker room. But go get a fucking golf cart, an injury cart, whatever the hell you call it. Get him a ride. Did a lot. They got him walking a couple hundred yards. I've been in that stadium before, by the way, on the field. That's a long ass walk from the field to the locker room. No ride. What are we doing here if you're Miami? Where the fuck is the golf cart or whatever? Something to get him there. Anyway, that's just me ranting about stupid ass Miami. But
I wonder if they really, because like they've gotten so much shit for how they've treated his concussion. I wonder if they were like concerned, like, oh my God, if we put him on a cart, it's going to look worse. Like he's out of it. Like, why would you not have him? I'm trying to figure out, like, why didn't you have a cart? Like, as I said, were they worried that if he's on a cart, it's going to look really bad?
Like, that's what I'm thinking. Maybe, I don't know, but it was really bad. You could tell by the way he was walking. So, I don't know. I'm just perplexed. I like Tua as a human being. He's a classy person. I don't think he's the best quarterback. I don't think he's the best leader either, but he's a good human being. And it sucks to see him, get hurt like that. He could be gone for a long time, potentially. And if so, Miami might be done before their season might be over before it even started. If this guy who they just gave $200-some million to, if he's out for a long time. And it's certainly, given his concussion history, they're not going to let him on the field quick. So I don't know, man. My concern, if I'm a Miami fan, is at a 9.5 out of 10 already after 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Not just the loss, but the injury loss as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough for them, and I feel the same way in terms of feeling bad for Tua. So, but we'll see what happens with them. I have no more takes outside of the Bills.
I don't either. I'm looking through my notes because we're doing this again. Literally, I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything that I.
Well, I'll just say this: the Bills had the ball for 23 minutes. That was it. Again, it's one of the weirder box scores. Like, if you did not look the scoreboard or whatever, like, or you just looked at the box score and you're like, oh my God, Buffalo must have lost. Like 23 minutes. Miami ran 75 plays. Their running backs had their running back had a good game. Like, if you just like for fantasy purposes only.
He did. I have him in a dynasty.
Yeah, he looked good. But then you see the final score. Like, what the fuck just happened? Like, it was just the box score did not match this final score at all. And it was like I said, this was definitely a top tier defensive performance for Sean McDermott. I think it's something I don't want to say we're going to remember it for a long time, but I picked the Bills to go 9-8 this year, and I'm not embarrassed by that. I'm not going off it yet. Like, we're going to see what happens still, but I'll just say before this game, I said to myself, okay, I think Miami's going to win. If the Bills win a close game, I'm going to still go with 9-8. That's still like, they beat Miami. But crushing Miami, I may want that extra 10-7. Maybe would have sounded a little bit better, maybe. But yeah, they definitely. It's still early, and I just want to say that to everyone. It's still early, but hey, they've impressed me. I thought they were going to go 1-1 these first 2 games, and the defense is impressed. Like, we did the preview show before the season. Our concerns were the defense. And those concerns have been addressed, and the defenses look great. And they've done it against.
They got depth on defense, and I did not give them. If there's something through 2 weeks, at least anyway, that I did not give the Bills enough credit for, it's that their depth is looking good. And I thought that was going to be a crazy big issue. And right now, 1 weak team on the schedule, one team that was supposed to look. The Bills were underdogs tonight. They were 2.5 point underdogs too. So you know what I'm saying. This is Yeah, I just I'm almost a little bit dumbfounded because I keep going back to 2 things as we're getting out of here. Number one, with the box scores, because typically I agree with a lot of that. But if there was ever a game where you could say this is the game where throw the box score in the garbage, because defensively they were willing to give up first downs and small plays, figuring that Miami was eventually going to fold, to shoot themselves in the foot. And that's quite literally what they did. I will also say this defensive line had one of the better just 2 sacks in a game that you'll ever see.
Yeah.
They only had 2 sacks tonight.
They were into his face. And
it felt like they had 9. That's how good they played tonight. It's and then the last thing is I keep going back to your question, since you've asked me it, about anything about this game from a Bills perspective that I don't like. And I literally, the only thing I could come up with is a missed 45-yard field goal and when they had a 3-score lead already. And that's the worst I could come up with this team. And maybe tomorrow I'll think of something else, but that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
I think the Bills only had 2 penalties too, so you can't even be mad about that either.
I mean, well, maybe I could complain and be like, I wish they would have thrown the ball a 100-yard bomb. I don't know, throw it down the field more. I guess I don't know. Like there wasn't much. They kicked their asses, and I think Miami. I don't want to say
good point.
I think they quit. I think they just quit right when that pick 6 happened. It was over. Like it was. They just were done. Miami.
Yeah.
And I think they were just like, get us out of here. And then Tua goes down. That's not good for your morale.
Sure, but there is one thing. There's one other thing too. I'm glad I can't even take credit for it. I would have thought of it tomorrow, but credit to John Sanders and who's watching us live in the chat. Terrell Bernard's injury. Absolutely. Look, Raylan Spector came in tonight. He played really well. He did some good things, but on his best day, he ain't Terrell Bernard. If that's a pec injury, that's going to be longer term. Hopefully that's going to be really, that's your captain. There's only 2 captains on this team, and he's one of them. So that tells you what Sean McDermott thinks of Terrell Bernard. So potentially, for sure, that could be it, man.
If he's, hopefully it's not long term, man. Because if it's long term, look, Mazel tov to Spector. He played well tonight, but then at that point, I'm starting to like think of trades, like for another line. You know what I mean?
Kyle Elam might have some value.
Yeah, maybe.
He's not. I mean, look, they're putting Ingram on the field as that dime safety right now. He's the 4th outside corner.
Dawson Knox, trade him. I don't know.
Nobody's taking that. Ain't nobody taking that contract.
There's got to be someone that likes him a lot, like Josh Allen wants to be his best friend again. I don't know.
Last question, then I'm letting you go here. So it's Friday now on the podcast anyway, and I hate when the Bills play on Thursday. It makes the weekend so much less enjoyable. Typically, I'm like,
me.
Man, but I'm going to tell you what, when you go and you smack Miami on the road like you did, it's just going to be a nice, relaxing Sunday now, especially if you're a Bills fan. You're just going to sit back and chill, have a Corona, because it's supposed to be
Corona.
It's supposed to be like 80 degrees here this weekend in Buffalo. Nice summer beer still. It's still summer beer weather.
Please don't talk about beer ever again. You know nothing. Corona.
And just enjoy the weekend, man.
Yeah, Corona, yes. Don't drink a Corona, please. My God.
All right, guys.
Gas over here. Anyways,
that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you. If you're watching on the video side, thank you for staying up so late. If you're checking out on the podcast, hope you enjoyed the show. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the NFL this weekend. Get out, get some fresh air. Buffalo Bills 2-0. For Joe from Queens, I'm Pat Moran. Talk to you Monday.